And we're back.
For our review of Winter Kingdom.
Yes, the successor to Kingdom Builder.
Yes.
Say that 5 times. All right, so let's talk about. We just finished a full playthrough. You can check out the video in the links down below.
Yes, Janusz crushed me.
All right,
He
and
did.
all right. So you want to go first? Arts and components, I guess.
Yeah, they're kind of trivial, and that's not a bad thing.
I
They're
think the art
clear.
looks great.
The art is nice, but it's a very Euro game named after a European city.
I do, yeah, it is. I do want to mention that compared to other Donald X Vaccarino and or Queen games, this looks better than most of their games.
I
So I like that.
I never said it looks bad. It
Yeah,
does
yeah,
not
yeah.
look bad. It's just not in any way
No,
remarkable or
it's not
memorable.
Yeah,
I do find the iconography a bit weird.
yeah,
We often have to go to the rulebook to see in which case eligibility for locations matters, in which cases it does not. Like, I don't remember you using
You're
terrain
right.
according to this, but in
Yes.
here we have to, and I would have been very, very happy.
not terrain, proximity. Yes,
Proximity,
yeah,
whatever. The terrain also factors in, but again, I would be very, very happy if they found some way to inform you via iconography where you're restricted and where you aren't.
yeah,
There's also a lot of actions that are chained and actions that are not chained.
correct.
And sometimes they're two separate actions, sometimes they're an action on the same house.
Yeah,
So I
and the
personally
difference is-
find that confusing.
yeah. The difference is just this little arrow here.
Yeah, and again, I find that confusing. I would have been happy if that was made clear, but that's a very minor
Yeah,
point. The game is fairly short, and if you play it once or twice, people will get the hang of it, and the cards are they're very different, but they repeat on the same theme. So once you've seen a third of the cards, you get it.
yeah.
You get it. It's not a big deal, but if you're making a second edition, fix that, please. So yeah.
Mechanisms.
What about you?
Yeah, no, I like. I mean, the only thing that I feel like is a missed opportunity is that this board doesn't really fit with the rest of these boards, and it like relates more to the component than arts. I wish that we would have gotten more boards and
Yeah, you
more
have
twist
7,
cards.
and they're two-sided, so technically you have 14
I know.
boards.
Maybe I don't need that much, right? Because I could put them in any configuration in any case.
Yeah.
So that's okay. Yeah. All right.
So where were we?
Mechanisms.
Yes, this is a very abstract game,
Mm-hmm.
and it's on the medium side.
Yeah.
It's on the medium side of thing, but it's short. Even in 4 players, it's fairly short and it progresses quickly. So that's nice. But you have to keep in mind that this is very, very, very abstract and
Yeah.
very optimization dependent. You get a chunk of cards. The only 2 assured ones are mandatory action and tunnels. You will not get more cards. Like this is it. These are your abilities. And sometimes you'll get stuff that are better suited for the end goals, and sometimes you just won't. For example, I had no way of moving houses,
Yeah.
whereas I've had gameplays before where I had a decent mix of add new houses to the board and move the houses that you have. This was not purely a disadvantage in this case, because putting more houses meant you had to remove, which meant you got coins.
Mm-hmm.
So it kind of worked, but it does require getting used to the fact that you could get
Mm-hmm.
a bad hand. Now this is easily house ruled.
Mm-hmm.
You could,
Yeah.
if you're with experienced players who
Maybe
know
we
the
could
game,
draft them.
you could draft your cards
Yeah.
after, obviously, after revealing the VP and the twist and the income.
Yeah.
You could draft the cards and then see how it works. Like, it's something that's very easy to overcome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. I mean, I like the mechanisms here. They sort of very loosely remind me of this. Like I'm putting myself in the same mode of thinking as in Agra, which is a completely different game, very, very, very heavy.
Completely different weight category, yes.
Yeah, yeah, but there, like here, I sort of know what I want. Like I know that I want to in this game. I know that I want at most five houses, and I want to be on the edges and so on. And then it's just a question of how do I string together the various cards and abilities that I have in order to get to that goal every single turn. And in Agra, it's sort of the same thinking, where you know you want that resource, and there's a bunch of ways in order to get there. And so it's a lot of smaller actions that you need to combo off together, which I like there and I like here as well. I think that from an abstract point, it does its. I mean, the fact that it's abstract is well balanced with the colors and the somewhat themes to it all. Like, you know, like the fact that they call it socialites because you want to be next to other people. The fact that you have wolves, so if you build so much, you have to remove them. There's just a little bit of color and you know spice to the abstract nature of it, which I like. And yeah, I mean, you know, I think it also the fact that I mean maybe I'll talk of the comparisons between the first version and the second version later, but the fact that you have a bunch of cards and you know each time you get a different bunch of cards and different victory points and different income and different twist, it really I think does its the best that it can in providing replayability and variability between games. Although at the end of the game, at the end of the day, it's the same game.
Yeah, but it's very
it does
different.
so very well.
It's very, very different. It's in Kingdom Builder there was a lot of repetitive playthroughs where you just see the goals and you're like, okay, I've optimized this before, I can optimize this again.
Yes.
Whereas here there's a lot more variety, I feel. Like this was definitely fixed. The game feels incredibly different depending on which cards you get, depending on which goals you get, and the twist and the income being different every time means the only constant is VP for castles.
Right.
Which is great.
Do you want to talk about scaling?
Oh, yeah, for sure. In the current iteration, and I'm sure this could be house ruled, but in the base rules, this does not scale down in any way. This is fun in 3, this is fun in 4, this is not enjoyable in 2. We played this, I think, last night, and we had several goals that related to clustering on a specific region, and basically we filled up a tile, and just kind of had droplets in the other cities, and the entire map was empty. And there was very little challenge in that, and it wasn't very interesting too.
Yeah.
And over here as well, I can count the number of instances in which Idan was in the way is like 2.
Right.
I think I never got in your way.
Right. Right. The only thing that stays somewhat challenging, or I don't know, some point of interest is around castles, right? Because there's a majority around castles, and you want to be next to as many as you want, and that's really the only thing that holds this somewhat together for 2 players. But I agree that it doesn't scale well, which is really interesting because I would have thought that just removing like 3 of these and playing on this,
Gaia Project style.
Yeah, will make it more interesting. Maybe we could house rule it. I don't know.
We should definitely experiment with that at some point to see, but we didn't want to overly house rule the game in a review. Like people aren't purchasing it for our house rules.
Yep.
So we might revisit this. So other than the fact that this doesn't scale down, what did we want to talk about?
Yeah, I just wanted to compare it to the previous game. So the original Kingdom Builder had basically the equivalent of these cards laid on the map as little tiles on each of the castles, and the first time that you reached a castle, you got that ability that you could use from there on, which means that all players are playing the same game, which isn't necessarily interesting. And here, I like the fact that I have control over which cards I want, and I don't have to like change my old strategy just because I want to get to a single castle with an interesting action. I can go wherever I want and sort of play the puzzle. So the puzzles were sort of separated, right? The puzzle of which actions I wanted, the puzzle of where I want to be on the map have been separated, and I think that's for the benefit of the game. So that's good. And I think that the twist cards add just a little bit more variety. I mean, you could play without them. They even recommend that you don't play with them in the first game. So I think that's good. I mean, what they did, I don't think that they. First of all, there weren't any tunnels in the base game at all, and that adds. Perhaps it sort of jump starts the whole game, right?
I think it mitigates the fact that you could get cards that don't allow you to do a specific thing, because the tunnels are very, very varied. You can do a lot of things with them.
Yes, and I'm saying that imagine like in the base game, in the original game, there were no tunnels, and just at the beginning of the game you were just like, okay, I have to build here, and so the first few turns were very, I think, mundane, and because they've added the tunnels and they gave everyone tunnels, that means that you are jump started into let's really have some options here to consider, which is cool. So that's another interesting part, and I don't know if it's just personal taste, or I don't know if it matters from a game perspective, but the fact that the tiles are now hexes instead of squares is better. In the original game, there were just 4 rectangular boards with hexes within them, but that was a bit boring, and I think I like this layout. And again, theoretically, maybe we could change the layout of the board just like in God Project. You don't have to have this star arrangement.
Yeah, we should crunch the numbers and see if it makes sense, but maybe it does.
Yeah,
definitely worthwhile trying.
Yeah.
So I don't like the game, so I don't feel comfortable giving a full review, because I also really, really disliked Kingdom Builder. I found it a bit too dry, a bit too boring, and a bit too mathy. This is a great improvement in almost every aspect, but it's still not a game that I like, and that's on me, that's not on the game. Winter Kingdom does what it does really well, I just don't like what it offers. I find that this game is easily reduced into a binary decision tree. Which areas are open? Can I remove to expand?
Yeah.
Does any of the options after I remove to expand give me access to a castle or endgame goals? Okay, put it. I'm missing something. And if you played Kingdom Builder and you felt the same way, then I don't think that the changes here will change your mind. However, if you played Kingdom Builder and were like, wow, this is great, I just wish it had more variety, you get a lot of variety. So really, whether you'll like this game or not, definitely depends on how you feel about the drier elements of it.
Yeah.
But what it does really well.
Yep. The houses are different shapes.
Yeah, that's
cute.
really cute. Forts aren't, oddly enough, but the houses are.
True. So I do like Winter Kingdoms. We don't own Kingdom Builder because I felt like, especially with the app, it sort of it sort of removes the need to own it. But I do like Winter Kingdom.
You spent a lot of time playing it.
Yeah. But I do like this version, and I do recommend it if you like. If you're looking for maybe a small half step from Azul, or I'm trying to think like of what's it called, like arrangements, like template building stuff.
Yeah, this is
like
weird in that
Reef or
sense
something.
because it's much heavier than those, but it's also very short.
Yes.
Rounds are quick, the game starts quickly and ends quickly, and if you really enjoy it, you could just play it twice consecutively. Like,
Yeah, totally.
it has a lot of positive things about it, but also weight-wise, it's weird. Like, I wouldn't necessarily play this with people who like light games like Azul and Reef. Like, I'd go for the more heavier people
Yes.
who are interested in strategy games, for example, people who
Yeah.
played a lot of StarCraft or stuff like that. You know, it requires a strategic look at it, as if
Yeah.
it's like a map with units. So
Yeah. Yeah, it does look a little bit more frightening than just Azul, which looks cute.
and you also have, usually you have a lot of options, a lot of options, and deciding which you activate first and which you activate later. How do you chain them? Like, there are a lot of weighty decisions, even if they ultimately might not matter.
Yeah. All right. So that's our review of Winter Kingdom. And as always, links down below for the full playthrough. And tell us if you want us to shoot the original game or just more variations of this.
Yeah, we could try and house rule it
Yeah,
and
we
see
can
if
see what
it
happens.
scales down. That could be interesting as an experiment.
Yeah, for sure. Tell us if you want to have a look at that. And stay safe.
Yep.
And we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.